Tax returns for students in Germany is a very interesting topic as it can lead to hundreds of euros being returned to you based on your expenses as a student in Germany. But many students avoid this topic thinking that it is a big headache. Trust me, it might be a difficult topic, but if you spend just a couple of minutes each year, you can get an average of 1000 euros tax return each year. For students, the tax return can even be in multiples of thousands of euros based on your expenses. As a student, do I have to submit a tax return in Germany? Well, you don't have to submit a tax return if you had just one job at a time and your tax class always remained as tax class number 1. But it might be worth it if you submit a voluntary tax return as a student in Germany. If I ever submit a tax return, do I have to submit it every year? Nope. You do not have to submit a voluntary tax return each year. I have been a student in Germany for a couple of years and I have never submitted a tax return. Should I submit a tax return or just do it when I start a job? Well, it depends. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ahsan. I'm a researcher and on this channel we discuss business and personal finance in Germany. As I mentioned in the beginning, in most cases, students are not obliged to submit a tax return because students tend to be in tax class number 1 and usually only have one job at a time. But if you are someone who is not in tax class number 1 or had multiple jobs at a time, you might be obliged to submit a tax return. Even if you are not obliged to file a tax return, in this video I will share a couple of reasons why you should actually file a tax return as a student in Germany. For mandatory filers, there is a deadline each year, which is usually the 31st of July of the following year. But there are no deadlines for voluntary filing. This is a great advantage for students because you can submit a tax return up to 4 years in the past. So in 2023, you can submit a tax return for 2022, 21, 20 and 19. On top of this, you can carry forward your losses from 7 years in the past. More on losses later on in the video. Before I share what can be declared and what not, I want to give you an example of what a tax return actually means, as most students do not understand the concept. As an employee in Germany, when you get an income, you also have to pay taxes on this income. For low income earners, there is a tax-free limit called the Grundfreibetrag or basic allowance. This limit varies each year. This amount is tax-free for each and every employee in Germany. Any income above this limit is taxed based on your tax class. As Germany has a progressive income tax level, you can be taxed between 14 to 42% for the income above the basic allowance. This basic allowance is what the government thinks is the least amount an individual needs to live in Germany. You might also know it as the amount you need to block each year if you are a non-EU international student. As taxes need to be paid on incomes above the basic allowance, any expenses related to your job or studies can be shown in a tax return to reduce your tax burden. Let me explain this with the help of an example. Let's assume someone is earning 45,000 euros per year as a full-time employee. Using a tax calculator, we can see that the income tax for this person is going to be 6,747 euros per year. If this person has work-related or study-related expenses, this person can present their data and the actual figures of their income and costs to the tax office. With the help of the submitted tax return, the tax office can determine the actual burden of the taxpayer and check whether a refund of income tax is due or whether an additional payment is due. I will share what study-related expenses are later on in this video, but for this example, let's say this person has 5,000 euros worth of expenses and they submit a tax return showing these expenses. The tax office will not simply give this 5,000 euros back. That's not how things work. The tax office will calculate that this person is earning 45,000 euros a year and has work-related expenses of 5,000 euros each year. So the income tax should be calculated as if this person was earning 40,000 euros instead of 45,000 euros. Now, based on the new calculations, this person should pay an income tax of 5,445 euros instead of the 6,747 euros based on the 45,000 euros income. As a result, the tax refund will be 1302 euros and not the 5000 euros work-related expenses. Remember, social contributions like pension insurance, health insurance, and care insurance are not taxes. Only solidarity surcharge, income tax, and church tax are considered as taxes. People who specifically do many jobs are exempt for paying pension and care insurance. Almost everyone else has to pay social contributions except some special cases. Here you might say, Ahsan, I'm a student and I don't earn such a large amount, or maybe I don't even make a single cent as a student. To that I say, you will start earning millions of euros as soon as you hit the like button. All jokes aside, even if you do not earn a single cent, you can submit a tax return showing all of your studies and work-related expenses to get benefits from the tax office. If you have paid enough taxes that year, you will get a tax return. If you haven't paid enough taxes or no taxes at all, you will get a tax loss carry forward statement or a verlustvortrag from the tax office showing that you have incurred losses in the previous year, and those losses will be adjusted in the current year's tax burden. Let me give you another example. Let's assume you were a student in 2021 and did not pay any taxes because you earned between 0 euros up till the tax-free limit, and in your tax return you shared study-related expenses of 3000 euros. As you did not pay any taxes, the tax office cannot reduce your tax burden. To remedy this, the tax office will issue a tax loss carry forward statement. So maybe in 2022 you still remained under the tax-free income limit. When you submit a tax return for 2022, you can now show your income, study and work-related expenses along with the previous tax loss carry forward statement. As you did not pay any taxes in 2022, you will get another tax loss carry forward statement. As a student, you can carry forward losses up to 7 years in the past. Ideally, you should be working and paying taxes in 7 years, hence the 7-year rule. There are many different combinations, like you worked 6 months as a student and 6 months as a full-time employee. Maybe you worked 3 months as a mini jobber, 2 months as a full-time employee, and the remaining months you did not earn a single penny. So many scenarios, all of which I cannot cover in this video. But if you have any questions, you can write them down in the comments below and I will try to answer them as soon as I can. So what are these work and study related expenses I keep talking about? As a student in Germany, you can claim the following expenses in a tax return. Educational fees. Any fee that is associated with your education is fully tax deductible, like your semester fee, university registration fee, and examination fee, among other fees. Transportation costs. Any cost associated with going from your house to the university is tax deductible up to 30 cents per kilometer. But this is only paid one way. Trips to seminars, libraries, and other study events are also considered here. Literature and other tools. Specialist literature, equipment, printing and copying costs, pens and pads can be claimed in this category. Telephone and internet costs. Smartphone contract, internet at home, and landline costs belong to this category, which you can claim in a tax return. Electronic hardware. Hardware devices such as mobile phone, computer, tablet, softwares, and peripherals can also be claimed if they are proven to be used for study purposes. Accommodation costs. If you have a primary residence in one city and you keep a secondary location in another city for study purposes, the accommodation costs for the secondary residence can also be claimed as a study expense. That said, it's pretty rare having multiple residences as an international student in Germany. Relocation costs. If you move cities for internships or thesis, you can take advantage of the relocation cost of up to 820 euros as an individual. Student loans. If you have student loans, you can claim the interest payments as a burden and put it in your tax return, but you cannot put the loan itself as a tax burden. Application costs. As a student, one of the big headaches is first searching for internships and thesis and later on full-time jobs. Thankfully, you can put all of these costs in your tax return. If you submit an application using regular post, 8.5 euros can be claimed per physical post. For online applications, 2.5 euros per application can be claimed. Meal costs. There are meals flat rates for internships, semester abroads, and excursions. These vary, but for domestic trips, the flat rates are 12 euros per 8 hours and 24 euros per 24 hours. Additionally, you can also claim realized losses from your investments, but those vary depending on the type of investment. There are many other claimable expenses which I am sure I have forgotten. Maybe you can write them down in the comments below to let me know. An important thing is to keep proof of things whenever possible. This will help you manage your expenses and assist you later on when you are applying for a tax return. In a video I made 2 years ago, I had an opinion that students should finish 1 full year as a full-time employee before submitting a tax return. Even though that opinion is still okay, I now think that students should submit a tax return each year. The main reason for this change of opinion is that we tend to forget things quite easily, and that is why, in order to take full advantage of filing a tax return as a student in Germany, you should submit one as soon as you can. In this video, I share my step-by-step process of how to submit a tax return. Don't forget to share this video with your friends so they can also get help on a very difficult topic like tax return as a student in Germany. So thanks for watching, bleib gesund, and I'll see you in this video.